You want an investment edge, but all you hear is noise, hype, and half-truths. Every signal is solid information, but only if you can see the bigger picture. This is where the Quasar magic happens. Weather, charts, news, all financial signals funneled into a single dashboard. Data alone isn't enough. Quasar Markets turns it into energy, sharp, clear, precise. Optimize with Quasar Markets today. Your edge when investing.
Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. Good morning, BigBeat. I guess you got the memo. It's blue for the shirts today. What's going on, my man?
Look, it's up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, choppy, choppy, choppy. So this is what we're looking at, and there's no volume. Yesterday I did something very cool. I saw that dip once again in Bitcoin once the president opened his mouth. And I bought again, and you'll be happy to know, Howard, that I bought Solana again. So I've continued to buy the dip in Solana. I think I might be a little early on this, maybe a little bit, but I think that the case here is we're still seeing a little bit of choppiness in everything we're seeing, right? Meaning that Disney was a good example of that this morning. Great numbers. CFO said this morning that the consumer is doing very well, but there's problems on TV. They're going to the parks. They are watching streaming, but they're not watching ESPN. They're doing these things, but not these things. So we're having a hard time kind of cutting down to exactly what the consumer is doing. And I'll tell you exactly what they're doing. They are doing one thing. They are all on ChatGPT and AI. They are just surfing like we did back in the day on the internet. They're surfing AI, and I think you saw that with Palantir.
Yeah, I had my headline was stock struggle for direction amid macro jitters. I mean, that is what we've got. Earnings have been on both sides. We've had mixed tech earnings, weigh on sentiment. You had the great earnings, like you said. Palantir crushed it the other day. Arista today crushed it, but AMD, SMCI both, missing the mark there. So it's the haves and have-nots. Like you said, yeah, that big deal there. What do you think about that ESPN partnering with the NFL here?
Kaboom, kaboom. It's something that's always needed to happen, right? I mean, because ESPN is ESPN. And NFL needs to get away from these nonsense contracts that they've been making. I get it. It's all about money. It's always about money, right? But if you're not talking about sports and you're just selling to whoever willy-nilly because they've got cash, isn't going to make a much better, cleaner picture of what you're watching. In other words, if you're watching NASCAR and you're getting commercials for toilet paper, I'm sorry, but you're not going to sell a lot more toilet paper. You put beer commercials on a NASCAR and kaboom, people are rushing out to buy more Budweiser beer, right? So that connection is much cleaner to me, and I like that. Hey, Clifton, good morning. I'll start posting the stuff. Yeah, I love it, man. Thank you. And obviously, Ron, good morning as well. And yeah, always has been about money. Yeah, I mean, when you look at the overall picture of TV is struggling. Howard, when was the last time you actually watched a TV show, completely watched a TV show? Because of ads, right? We specifically pay so that we don't have ads, right? People are sick of ads. They don't want to be, but they're okay with it on their phone. They're okay with it on their internet, right? When they go to certain websites, they're okay with that because they know that data needs to come there. But they're not okay with it, and they're willing to pay for it on TV. So that's why streaming is doing better. So if you ask me, move NFL to streaming, and I think you'll be all right. And guess what Disney did? They moved to streaming. So I like this. My only problem is if you're a gambler watching MLB.TV or whatever, and I don't gamble. Most people don't know. I don't very, very rarely. Is that you're watching? Oh, so and so hit a home run, and you're watching the streaming TV, and it hasn't happened yet because it's behind real time. I think there's a little bit of an issue there. So I think the once that catches up, I think that'll close that gap. But for the most part, I love this deal. It's good, smart deal.
Yeah, interesting. Disney had a lot of stuff going on when it comes to that. Like you said, this partnership will be interesting in a couple of different ways. In my opinion, they take over the red zone. So they will be now the marketers of the red zone, which was sort of the purview of DirecTV. So they sort of take that over. They gave a 10% ownership to the NFL.
Yeah, you know, selling your soul is not cheap, right? This is part of it, right? Look, we understand business is business. I've said this, you and I've been talking about this for a while. M&A is happening, and we could have seen microtransactions of M&A, which is happening too now. If you can't own it all, own parts of it, and then slowly absorb it, right? So I expect at some point watching Walt Disney smiling all the way to the bank as Mickey Mouse is running through the stadium in Philadelphia Eagles, right? Getting his behind beaten.
I don't go to Philadelphia. They threw snowballs at Santa Claus. I don't
I mean,
want to know. I don't want to know what they would do to the mouse.
Right?
Don't send the mouse to Philly. Send them Tampa Bay down by you.
Tampa Bay would be fine with that. Orlando would be great.
Yeah, send them right by you. No, not send them to Philly. There,
you know, look, it is what it is, and entertainment is taking a different aspect. Like the Quasar markets do the same thing, right? We don't want to make this. We don't want fintainment. We want to create a place where it's people understand. And I think Disney is saying, okay, you know what? True powerful NFL watchers, people that are true blue lovers of the NFL. They are fans to the core, right? That they're going to watch a show with much better quality than I don't know. I just watched the new show with Adam Sandler, right? About Happy golf and the maxi golf, right? I mean, people don't want that. They like purity, they like clean, they like to see that. They want entertainment. All right, but don't mix it, right? And so you're seeing that. And Monday Night Football was a good example of that, right? When they brought Hank Williams in, that really beefed up Monday Night Football, but Hank wasn't playing on the stage middle of the second quarter, right? He was playing before and he's playing after. And then, of course, they had different people. So, again, I like this deal. I love it a lot. Disney is definitely Disney. They're becoming Disney again. And it's
not the Disney we grew up with, because the other part I want to point out is where a big part of this is gambling. Let's face it, is the interaction. Because one of the things I noticed doesn't get mentioned a lot, but when I was reading the deal, they are now the owners of NFL's fantasy football. So they also bought the rights.
They're moving.
And also don't forget they own ESPN Bet, which is their partnership with, I forget which of the gambling sites. So it's really becoming a one-stop shop. They want to be everything.
One of the biggest things about Disney was no alcohol in the parks. Well, now they're complaining about the amount of alcohol being sold in Mexico at Epcot. And guess what? It's one of their biggest moneymakers. They sell a lot of alcohol over on the UK side. Guess what? It's one of their biggest moneymakers. They're not stupid, right? But they contain it. It's not gambling right on the park where we're going to have like gambling right in front of Spaceship Earth. They're going to have you come up like a bet fair kind of place. But they make it where it's, okay, you know what? You're at ESPN. You're at the baseball fields, okay, and you've got your app. Hard Rock does the same thing. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you don't have a problem with gambling. I mean, but that's an issue. But no, I mean, I understand this, right? They are bending to what people want, and that's what Disney always wanted. Walt said the same thing. I'm giving people what they want, so give it to them.
Yeah, and then the other one that they announced is their WWE deal, $1.6 billion multi-year exclusive streaming rights for all the major WWE events. I haven't watched wrestling in a while. I used to love it when I was growing up. I'm not going to lie. I was a big fan. But again, they're just trying to reach out to the younger consumer, right? I think they're just trying to hit their market. They are the biggest lags for them that are causing the problems with the price today. Linear TV, their legacy TV down 15%, operating income down 28% there. Parks were a win. The parks were a win here. They did have a beat on revenue and operating income here, and they say that income growth forecast of about 8%. So continuing to move up, and Lilo and Stitch made $1 billion for them. Again, I think that, what we see here, analysts are upbeat on their margin expansion, the streaming profitability inflection, and the long-term bundling strategy with ESPN Plus. So weak box office, linear TV decline, and global tariffs are the risks pointed out in the analyst reports that I've seen so far.
It's exactly what we've been saying, right? That the consumer is getting pinched by inflation, food, that kind of thing, and Disney. Yep. All right, let's get right to it. I know Ron's talking about Pete Thomas, rest in peace, Hulk, Clearwater, Florida. Yeah, they just had his funeral there down in Clearwater, across from me. So yeah. Shopify. Let's get to it, Howard.
Yep, Shopify blew away earnings here. Right now, up about 10.5%. Revenue was a beat by 130 million, 31% year over year. EPS they came in at 69 cents, expected at 20 cents, and adjusted EBITDA came in at 412 million, a beat by 11.6%. I will point out operating margin, though, was flat year over year at 10.9%, and their free cash flow margin was at 15.7%, flat quarter over quarter. So again, when I'm looking at the financial highlights, as you've been pointing out, against a lowered bar, right?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Look, however it takes to get people to get onto websites, and however it takes to get people to buy, they're going to do that. And Shopify does a wonderful job at that. I don't always necessarily agree with it, but it is what it is, and they do that. So Shopify does very well with that.
Yep, and their gross merchandise value that went across the all the merchants was 87.84 billion. That was a strong one, a growth of about 25.8. So people are selling more stuff on the platform. I think that's what had it up 10% here. Makes sense, indicates strong e-commerce volume across all of their Shopify merchants. Strategic notes I saw: revenue from merchant loans, AI tools, and inventory software are outpacing their gross merchandise value. So showing expansion beyond core fees. So they are helping people build out their shops, get more access to people, market it and such. And people are starting to take advantage of that. And again, just a nice move up so far by Shopify for sure. Next one you probably want to talk about is Arista Networks here, up 13%. Again, another one of those big beats on revenue. So AI, again, not maybe dead. Arista really is a very limited sort of chip maker, right?
Yes.
They
Arista has the networks. Arista Networks. It's they have the what's interesting about Arista is they are kind of the broadband lines for them. I do like Arista Networks, but they are being pushed out by other companies. But they are cloud networking, and they have the lines in the back end. So think about like low latency cloud to cloud. So I want to pull data from one cloud to another cloud. Arista Networks does the back end for that. I do like that side of it. And they are a big data driven company. So they're going to do very well. Think of it like switches, right? So you have a cloud over here, you have a cloud over here. How do I get from one cloud to the next cloud?
Is what they're
correct.
They're
That's what Arista does. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they also have the wired side too, which has got it kind of nice too as well.
Uber had popped. I don't know if it's still up. That one had been moving back and forth. I'd actually have to look here. Give me 1 second, see what Uber's doing now.
Yeah, for me, Uber is an interesting pop. I mean, it's I understand what they're thinking here with Uber.
Actually, down 1%. So they have moved up and down pretty tremendously on their earnings. People trying to digest it, figure out what's going on there. Their EPS
I'll be
was
careful
in line.
because of that buyback. Oh, sorry.
Right, huge buyback. 20 billion shares, 20 billion share buyback authorized there. So we'll see how that plays out here. You were going to mention what do you like or not like about Ubers?
I mean, I use Uber every day. So, I mean, every other day. So I like Uber. I like the fact that the speed of it, maybe it's because I have a special Uber account, but I can tell you that Uber has won the war when it comes to, ride sharing. And we'll continue to win that war. Lyft just can't seem to get it off, can't lift off, pun intended. but the buyback here at Uber is extremely interesting to me because of the number of shares they have outstanding, and as those companies that at the beginning of Uber that helped get Uber and make Uber who they are, at this point now is getting some of that money back. So yeah.
Yep.
We're hearing
so
reports.
We are about 15 minutes from the open here. So far, tick fairly flat, advanced decline up about 1,200 right now.
Real quickly, Howard, we're hearing reports now that President Trump is saying Apple is going to do some kind of $100 billion investment in the United States. It's coming from Bloomberg, just coming out now. I don't know what that $100 billion is a lot of money for an investment in the United States. So.
Hey, there's nothing for Trump. He's got $650 billion to use that the Europeans gave him to spend whatever he wants on. That was yesterday's line.
Yeah, I'll see it when I believe it. Yeah, okay.
Steve, how about McDonald's?
All right. I went to McDonald's yesterday. It was packed. We went by and grabbed a Coke, and I don't ever go to McDonald's. It's the first time with McDonald's was yesterday. I wanted to see the lines. I wanted to understand because I knew McDonald's earnings were coming out. Man, it's like going to a Chuck E. Cheese nowadays because of one thing. I think it's all the promotions that they're doing. Right? It's their ads now, and their app is doing quite well. They're pretty much giving away a lot of their food, but it's I watched tray after tray after tray. There was no condiment station anymore. There's no drink station anymore where you used to go refill. It's now just Happy Meal after Happy Meal after Happy Meal. So McDonald's is going back to its roots of being the kid-friendly Ronald McDonald / get toys based on the movie that's out right now. And that I do like. That's smart movement. Food still is terrible. Food is still disgusting. But yeah. And look, I like their food. But it's disgusting for the body, right? So I like what they're doing. I mean, financially, they're doing the right thing. They're doing the right thing for the country. Probably not for the obesity issue, but
well, I would actually argue that a little bit because what they have done is they've been focusing on smaller sizes, value menus. I talked about it a lot. Having a 5-year-old, that I know we're the type of people they target to. As you said, value-focused promotions drove traffic. Their Minecraft themed Happy Meals. Their McCrispy chicken strips, which were one of their more healthy items, and their $5 meal deals have really shown strength. And then their loyalty program impact. And I can tell you, because both I and the wife use the app, they just send you free stuff all the time. You know what I mean? So if you're looking to get some value, if you're trying to decide between, am I going to Wendy's, McDonald's, Taco Bell, or whatever, I do think McDonald's does a very good job through their app growth of keeping you there. Their other thing that they pointed to is they're an asset-light model, right? Because they don't own their franchisees. Right. They don't have to worry about those stores. So
they get paid by the franchisees.
They get paid. That's what I'm saying. This is a bonus. I was looking at some of the cons and pros and cons.
McDonald's is not. I mean, I've always said this. I mean, I've said this not too long ago on TV. McDonald's isn't really a food company. It's a real estate company. I mean, they own the real estate, right?
Marketing also. You can say that they market for the franchisees. And the other part that they talked about, and I did see it also covered on CNBC this morning, is their new menu innovation is resonating with both budget conscious and core customers. What they've done a good job of is they're innovating on the high end, innovating on the low end, and those are the two sort of consumers they have. Maybe someone like yourself that's going to go get the cool new double bacon Swiss burger, although that would have been before your weight loss, but or the person that's looking like my 5-year-old to get the Minecraft little toy with some fries and a cheeseburger. So, but McDonald's definitely had some good earnings there, Steve, and the market likes it without a doubt. We can't go without the president doing something. It's back to tariff talk. The big one has been pharma and the fact that he is threatening the 250% tariffs again. Definitely weighing on it.
He just said on TV that he Sorry, a little delay here. He just said yesterday that he's out to protect the farmer. And he's saying through the visas, getting we're sending them back, the migrants back, and we're sending them forward. But then he hits them with tariffs on the other side. So I'm confused, right? Like, food is what the United States does it very well. We are the breadbasket of the world, and we need to be very careful when we hit these farmers because we need these products. If you're going to have a problem with Mexico, you're going to have a problem with Canada. We get a lot of food from both those countries. I mean, avocados. I mean, it's just the sheer amount of avocados that people digest. We got to stop that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a new plane. And a new plane. Yeah, it's just like crazy. All right.
If we look at global markets overnight, Nikkei was flat. Hang Seng was down about a 0.5 percentage point on tech weakness. Europe was green with the DAX up 0.6%, the FTSE up 4% ahead of the U.S. Open. And so far, our futures has the S&P up about 40 basis points, and Dow up 40 basis points, NASDAQ up 30 basis points. Earnings today, as we talked about, we've already seen Uber with a beat, Disney with a beat, McDonald's with a beat, Shopify with a beat, Rivian with a miss, Astera Labs with a beat. We've got AppLovin, Fortinet, Elf Beauty, DraftKings, IonQ, Duolingo, Unity, and Occidental coming up after close. Any of those you're watching here, Steve? I'm going to be watching DraftKings personally to see what they have to say.
I mean, that's the first thing out of your mouth today was about talking about gambling at Disney, right? Are we seeing more?
Yep, I want to see what they have to say there.
Yeah.
From a macro and a Fed watch today, at 10:30, we have crude oil inventories at 1 o'clock, a $42 billion 10-year note. So we'll get a little bit of action, see what's happening with the 10-year rate. And we've got Fed talk on track. We've got Fed Governor Lisa Cook and Boston Fed President Collins speaking at 2 o'clock. And we can't go without Mary Daly getting her share in, the San Francisco Fed President, at 4:10. So tweet analysis definitely on the line. 10 years sitting at about 4.235 today, down a little bit. VIX sitting at 17.64, down about 1.2%. DXY at 98.40, down slightly from yesterday. Also, Bitcoin just below 114. Gold sitting at 33.68, and silver's taking a little bit of a divergence and moving to the upside, Steve, at 37.85.
Still like silver. I think we're okay on silver. As we go into these 2 months here, I do like silver. I am going to buy Uber here. Howard, I'm really starting to like Uber here on this move here. I think we could see a nice move to the upside today.
Nice. I actually have it all.
So I just bought a big. I'm going to take a big swing at Uber here and see what we can do here. Yesterday was a nice pickup from yesterday, as we all know. So as I got crushed in FIG a couple of days ago, got that back. But right here, Uber, I like this little move here. So let's see what they do here on the open. About 5 minutes I'm going to take on the cash market. I'm going to wait. This run around here is a little bit disconcerting to me. So I'm going to wait for the cash market.
Yeah, it's at 90.70 key resistance to watch here right now. 90.70.
Okay, so the White House is now saying Apple's now going to commit. Sorry, Apple's going to commit $600 billion, and they've increased by $100 billion. A new American manufacturing program bringing more Apple manufacturing to the United States. Tim Cook is actually at the White House, knee pads on and all. So expect that to happen today.
Yeah. I mean,
wow.
You think he would have learned from moving all of his Apple phones to India, where they're about to get slapped with harder tariffs, that maybe that's not the best bet. Tick is not really moved on that news either. Is advanced decline. Q's sitting down. We have seen the Q's pull back here this morning over the last hour or so. Did bounce to 561.04 is the low of the pre-market so far, but it is swinging to the upside slightly here. WTI back at 65.60 here, Steve, trying to erase yesterday's drop after the OPEC announced that they will be they're not increasing their production. They're stopping their decrease in production.
Yeah. Which it's easy to
Same
slow down.
difference. It's just how you turn
Turn
it.
the spigot down a bit, right? Yeah, that's about it.
I just laughed because I saw them post
But
that.
you're hearing reports now that Russia plans to increase Western oil exports to nearly 2 million barrels in August after drone strikes on the refineries. So, the balancing out act is happening now. All right, got about what 2 minutes now to the
3
open.
minutes to the open here. We got a new winner in the losers of the day. Vertex. This must be just had earn and
How about open door this morning? OPEN getting smacked this morning, down 22% as their revenue beat, but the CEO there pretty much gave bad guidance. You give bad guidance, you're pretty much done.
SMCI back down 17.39% after their earnings report. They basically have two customers, Steve. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, definitely a little worrying.
Did you see where Kashkari this morning was leaning now towards a cut now? He's changing his tune.
I did not. I had to do some other stuff and get ready for this show as he was coming on with CNBC with Sorkin. So I did not. I didn't see that. I would be lying to you there.
All right. A lot of movement there in Uber, like really just heavy movement there in Uber.
I will say I saw Mr. Flanagan asked about ALAB, I believe, on here. Yeah. Big move to the upside here up in the pre-market. They had a huge beat, revenue 150% year over year, driven by strong demand for Aries, Scorpio, and Taurus product lines. Gross margin 75.8%, down a little bit year over year, but on that much larger number. And their operating income was a major turnaround from operating loss to a $40 million gain this quarter. So definitely looking better for them. They did point out that their sales drivers were a spike in unit shipments and strong ASPs for the Scorpio models. We are open here. Let's see what Steve gets across there. But the Qs, I'm going to start off on 561.39 here. So that's close to the lows of the pre-market here. Lows of the pre-market were directly at 830, right around 560.85. So 561.22 so far. Bitcoin gets hit here first thing off. The open here a little bit, 113.856. Same thing, Ethereum got pulled down. I will say Bitcoin saw big outflows across the ETFs yesterday, but Ethereum actually had inflows. So we're seeing a little bit of switch across investors starting to line up behind Ethereum here. Solana at the high of the day here, 164.14, moving to the upside. Actually, 164.75 is high of the day. It's based on UTC. High in the morning. Mag 7, NVIDIA getting hit a little bit here, Steve. I did have a banner here. They, I thought it did. Maybe I don't. NVIDIA having a little problems with China right now. China saying they're putting in some kill switches into their devices. They were not very happy by that.
All right, I picked up some Uber here at 88. That's like 88.67 here. So I'm a little bit early on this, I think, but we'll see.
Steve, another one that was getting hit this morning was AMD after their earnings. One of the problem was there's still uncertainty around their China export licenses. They haven't included their M1308 chip in guidance because of pending U.S. export licenses. They raised concerns that NVIDIA's planned H2O shipments to China may also face delays. NVIDIA previously cited a $10.5 billion in lost revenue due to these curbs. So we'll see what we get there. I will say people were excited about AMD's new M1 400 series. Most analysts calling it a real upside driver for them.
Qs are pushing here.
Nice little pump by the Qs there.
Yeah, still going.
Here we go. 562.25. I mean, you'd have to look at a break. The thing is with the way that the market has gone, yesterday's highs, so high a day, you'd 566.07 or so. So you still got some room. But I would watch for a run up towards that area, at least to 564.10 today. It will try to hit at some point. VIX pulling back a little bit here, 17.68. Had gone close to the $18 level earlier. Gold pretty stable through the open. A-Lab up now 24%, the big mover. Shopify up 19.8. Got a lot of double-digit winners here. INTR, SSRM off of their earnings up 10.97%. EXTR up 11.06. VSAT FSAT up 14.42. ANET up 15%. So we got some winners in some of the big caps here. Devon Energy up 3.78. AI up again today. Pony AI up 2.84%. Apple up 2.69% on that news, Steve.
Yeah, and Qs are still pushing here a little bit. I still like this push.
So Apple, they definitely like that new phone. Apple's going to launch the new iPhone 17 on September 9th with pre-orders on the 12th. Retail
I'm looking
sales
at it.
starting
I'm looking at it. I'm not going to give you. I'm just looking at it. I'm not quite there yet. I'm keeping my eye here on Uber very tight here. I think we can break. I think Uber could push here.
Says the lineup will include the iPhone 17, the iPhone 17 Air, which is replacing the Plus, the Pro, and the Pro Max. They're also going to have a new Apple Watch, it looks like, and maybe even some new AirPods. So. And as they announced out of the White House here, Apple says they're going to announce it. Well, President Trump says Apple going to do a $100 billion investment. I will say Apple's not responding to requests so far from the Wall Street Journal Corporation on said move. Everything except for NVIDIA and the Mag 7 moving to the upside. Tesla trying to battle back up here nicely this morning. Bitcoin moving to the downside here. Here comes some flush to the downside.
I mean, they're trying to push it, and they're really struggling with the push, but they're struggling with the buys too, because we need the sailors to get the butts back in gear and get some buy some. The Qs are taking a dip here a little bit.
And here comes the dip. Here comes the dip.
Yeah, that selling was really strong there.
tick negative 400 here, so moving to the downside. Tick still negative. Advanced decline fairly flat here back at 54. So that exuberance from the pre-market has definitely been erased already. Dow Jones, though, now trying to move back up a little bit here to even, down about 4 basis points. The Rut's down 23 basis points. Q's still up about 20 basis points so far, but seeing a little bit of headwinds. And the SPY's up about 15 basis points. Same type of situation here. Upside does look capped a little bit here today, and we are seeing pressure sellers come into the market. A-Lab now up almost 28%. Shopify up almost 21%. So those two continue to move to the upside here in the cash market. Same thing, SSR Mining. Nice little move after their earnings report to the upside here. They and NRG had been up nicely earlier. I don't know if it still is here.
I like NRG. Good company. Good quality company.
NRG there. Actually down 10.61% now. So they've actually moved the other way since their earnings. I did have some notes on their earnings here, I believe. There we go. So they had a net income of about 104 million. That is up 738 million year over year. How can that be? I don't know. Oh no. Net income 104 versus plus 738 million year over year. Yeah, that's whatever my note is. I don't know what I wrote. But they had an EPS miss. I do see that their revenue was a beat. Their free cash flow, though, is moving to the downside. Also, their 2025 guidance, they reaffirmed the guidance, but their non-cash market-to-market hedging losses due to declining natural gas and power prices are definitely hurting them. And their legal reserve increases for 2025 have skyrocketed, and especially compared to last year's windfall from the ERCOT price spikes. So NRG getting hit here. Apple now up 2.86%. So people like the fact that they are going to invest in America. Bitcoin, people seem to like that, back above 114. That's a pretty big move there, back to the upside. Love to see that. Taking everything with it. So maybe a little bit of a bear trap set there. We'll see. Right now, a little bit of intraday chop.
Yeah, it's not much. There's not much going on today. I think it's very quiet.
I happen to know it's the CBOE's big golf tournament today. So all the traders are golfing, not trading today. Ethereum can break 3606. Watch for a pretty good move to the upside here.
114.1 here on Bitcoin, popping to the upside again.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
You just don't listen to me, man. I see how it is. Berkshire Hathaway moving back to the upside here, Steve. So after taking the big loss after earnings, we are seeing some money move back into Berkshire Hathaway here, up at about 466.50 off the lows of 455 there. So nice little recovery over the last few days on a beat down stock that is Berkshire Hathaway.
We talked about Berkshire. That's what we said. That's where Alpha, that's the most beaten big company that's got money, cash flow coming in. And it's silly that they got beaten up. So guess what? Mispricing of what? Pricing.
Intel down about 1.4% here today, back below the $20 range. Neo up about 2.56% here. Rivian had some pretty crap earnings I saw. I still have hope for this company. I think they build a nice car. The one or two people I think I have two friends that have Rivians, love them. I've never been in
And
either.
it's got a good look to it, but it's just not catching on.
Hasn't caught on, right? I mean, that's sort of what my takeaway on it. It just has not caught on yet. I do have their earnings. Both they and Lucid had earnings today. Lucid lost money again, but in line with estimates. They didn't reveal their revenue, and they only delivered 3,300 vehicles. Wow. There you see in low volume, high cash burn, and headwinds from the loss of U.S. tax credits, obviously bothering them. Rivian down about 7%. Also now, only down about now actually a half percentage point. They only delivered 10,000 vehicles in Q2. But again, that's versus a yearly 3,000 on the other. They're looking to do 40 to 46,000 cars this year, and they're still reaffirmed that track. And their new model R2 is on track for 2026 first half of the year, and their factory expansion is largely complete in Normal, Illinois. So, but with that being said, they are looking to lose about $2 billion to $2.25 billion this year. So, yeah, they haven't figured out how to make it profitable for sure. And
call Elon Musk. He'll pump it.
Yeah, Tesla delivered 384,000 vehicles versus Lucid's 3,300 and Rivian's 10,000. So they just don't have the sales yet to justify anything. Q's moving back to the upside a little bit, up a quarter of a percentage point here. So we are seeing a little bit of a move back to the upside here on the Q's. Tick has gone back to positive. Advanced decline slightly down. Question is going to be when we hit this 462.50, can we bust through it? If you bust through it, bulls will have control of the Q's, at least for the morning time here. Bitcoin stalled out at that
200 now,
150 here. Yeah, Tick's holding up. Advanced decline moving back towards neutral. So maybe that sell-off was the sell-off. Let's see what we get here yesterday. I did think yesterday we'd see a green day. We didn't. We definitely went red by the end of the day. In fact, our morning was the high of the day. Copper moving up a little bit here today. Up about 1.5%.
Yeah, Uber getting slipping.
Struggling. UNH struggling now to hold that 250 level. Do we get to a point where you like UNH, Steve, at some point?
I mean, I am now. I like it now.
Oh, okay.
But they've got a lot of problems, and they got to get to those problems.
Wow. I didn't realize they're down 248 from 630.
Yeah, no, I mean it's UNH is an anomaly. It's a very strange situation there. It's a good, the company has done a lot of bad things and things have hit them,
They
but they're
are
still
pretty
a
much the
freaking
largest healthcare insurer in the U.S., right?
yeah, they're still an insurance company. So how do they mess up that badly, right?
Yeah, that really is unbelievable. Q's now on the highs of the day here. Here you go. There goes SPY also, 629.32, trying to get to the highs of the day, 629.45. Here it goes. Same thing on the Qs, 562.54, highs of the day.
And the Bitcoin 114.3 here.
Yep, continuing to move to the upside here a little bit. Love to see that.
Yeah, there goes Q's off to the races.
There we go. Bitcoin off to the races too, right there. Nice little move up. Ethereum 3602 again breaks that 3605. Watch to the upside, that 3605 area. Would have been the key spot. 3607.50 I'm watching. Solana back above 164. It's got to break 166. Break a 166. You have a clear shot up to 176.
Yeah, Q's are still pushing. Oof. And Tick still pushing.
Yeah, now we're seeing some buyers step in again. Still early in the day, 10 minutes before the top of the hour. VIX falling back down a little bit, 1751. Not quite low enough for me to want to do another trade in there.
Oh. And Uber's still slipping here. I'm not liking this Uber sell off here.
Oh, I forgot about Uber there. Let's pull that up for you. Whoops, I dropped my phone. Yeah, Uber at the lows of the day here, still fading off a little bit. Where it gapped up from on Monday, so this is your key spot here.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's got downside to 85.50 or so.
And the bounce to the downside on the Qs here. So it's like chop, chop, chop.
Yeah,
There's
it's
nothing.
just a lot of chopping right now. Exactly. That would be my takeaway. Man, Pelletier back at 174.37, so regaining most of those losses. Wow.
I talked about Palantir yesterday on Schwab Network. Still love it.
Yep, I'm with you. You know I'm long.
Still rich for my blood, though.
Take a look at those early morning pumpers. Are they still pumping? ALAB now at 31.66%. Wow.
Wow.
So
Good for them.
Astera Labs just continuing to pump to the upside here. Huge gain here. Man, their previous all-time high had been 147 before today. Now trading at 177.85. Wow. What a move.
I got to take.
That's where I'd want to start looking to fade this one here.
I think I'm just gonna hold my I'm gonna hold my Uber overnight.
Nice.
I think the selling is a little bit premature.
22%. Apple now up 3.36%, Steve. People are betting on Apple Oven today. Apple Oven running into earnings after the close today, up about 3%, 2.78% here. I will say this is one of the ones based on earnings implied volatility that you could see some explosive move on, similar to what you've seen with some of these other names. Definitely a YOLO play name.
It's just still a quiet day though. It's really not much of a day here. Tick still flat, 135 the upside. Yeah. Oil still flat at 66.34, 87.20 now on Uber. So there we go, back to back the upside. Silver is still, 37.88 there. So almost back to $38 there.
I will say Ethereum struggling to get above 3,600 here. That's the key spot for it. Same thing, Solana 165. Key spots they need to break across. Same thing, Bitcoin 114,500. Bitcoin really needs to regain that 115,500 level. Otherwise, that's the new top of zone for right now. Key resistance.
There you go, Uber. Come on, Uber, back to 88. There you go. Yeah, I thought that's like
across the board today. Got an earnings dropper here. MKTX down about 7%. Market Access Holdings on their earnings here. An investment bank.
Yep. Tick about up 330 now.
This one's interesting to me. I'd have to do some more research first, but this Market Access, they beat profit expectations. They're talking about growth, and down here, pretty significant, 6.79%. Two more.
He's back on the highs today here.
Question is, can it break out of those highs? No, look at that, right down again from that same level. It's just chopping right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you have linear regression on your charts, you're good to go. On the look at the if you look at the Qs right now, and I guess I got to pull it on the screen here, and you pull up a 10-second chart. I mean, it's pretty much telling you everything you need to know.
Yep, I'm watching it on the minute. It's doing the same. It's just, oh, here it goes, trying to break off here. Can it get above 563? Not so far. Bitcoin trying to make that move back up. Ethereum. So we are seeing bulls are trying to take control of the market this morning. Not able to so far. Hey, Zora. NVIDIA's gone positive now. Microsoft and Google have gone the other way to the downside. Apple, the big winner in the Mag 7, up 3.45% here this morning.
Oil's pushing here now, 66.56 a little bit. Yeah, it's going to pop here in oil. Trump has now signed the executive order EO on 25% tariff on India.
That will weigh on the market probably, although it's news we knew about, so it should be baked in, but we'll see if it is. You see your boy Tom Lee's call for $250,000 Bitcoin before the end of the year again?
Yeah, he did it once again, didn't he? I made that statement the other day on TV, and it's like, I agree with 150. I don't agree with 250, but Tom's a good guy. I know Tom personally, and he's a good guy. So, trying to get Tom here on the show here with us. Busy man.
He is a very busy man right now. I did think it was all interesting too. Bitwise's CEO Matt Hogan cautioned investors that SEC's Project Crypto has not been priced into the current crypto valuations.
I agree with that.
Big regulatory tailwinds supporting a price upside reinforces the idea that markets remain cautious on policy clarity, but you should be able to anticipate clearer rules propel up next leg up. So that might be what Tom Lee's feeling too, is that more certainty out of the White House and SEC and CFTC that keeps coming pretty quickly.
We've always said that, right? We need clarity
to do that.
So yeah. Man, look at the oil still pushing 37.88 now on silver too. Commodities are pushing up, which means inflation, stagflation. Sing a song about it. I mean, that's what's going to happen, dude. I'm starting to see it now.
I do see Mr. Flanagan is here. Let's bring him in and see what he has to say about everything in the world of Forex. How are we doing today, sir?
Oh, good morning, gents. Another day, kind of sideways, choppy. Dollar index a bit lower than our Monday chatter, but still holding what I would see as good support down around this 1020 level. So overall, this is a costly trade to hold short dollars. And we have Bank of England tomorrow. So another central bank getting ready to cut rates. Hello, Fed. What are you up to?
Well, I mean, you just heard Kashkari is just saying he's looking forward to cutting too as well. Mary, they're all getting crazy now, right? They all worry about their jobs now. I mean, the one quits and one may get fired, and it's getting politicized.
Yeah, you have to be critical on the Fed because these are people we rely on for accurate data analysis. And quite honestly, if we just go back 2-3 years, I mean, they're horrible. Their track record is horrible in quality.
How do you really feel, Steve? How do you really feel? I'm with you there. That's
why we're in the place that we're in.
Yep. I mean, we're all undecisive.
Seems like a little bit of delay on my side. I'm sorry about that, guys. I'll tell you, look, Steve's right. The Fed is definitely off. They have been off for a while, and now they're catching on. And Trump is saying, okay, even if your data sucks, I don't like it, I'm gonna fire you anyway. Like he just thinks he's on The Apprentice right now.
Yeah, that's right. And if you want to, I mean, even El-Arian is out there saying, look, their data is not that hot. So, everybody is pretty much in a consensus. Okay, the timing of firing, that's questionable. But the data has been poor. I agree. Here people are. Here's the Fed saying, we're waiting on 2 more unemployment numbers, payroll numbers. Okay, you got 1. And then you see these massive revisions. So how can the Fed be hanging their hat on the livelihood of America? Look at housing, right? I mean, look at all this interest rate. Steve, you've been going through a litany of things that are defaults, record number, consumer debt levels. And
Oh, one thing I do
I
want
mean,
to
if the
mention.
Fed is having that,
One thing I want to mention, because we have been railing about that debt level, I did see some things that broke down that one of the reasons it's at that level is student loans have been re-added for the first time in 4 years to the defaults. So I do want to keep that in mind. It's something I noticed that I didn't realize that I wanted to make sure, because we've been talking about a lot about that and how the debt is and how defaults are at all-time highs. But a lot of that is now built in because of the reintroduction. They were not allowing those to be counted towards defaults. They are now student loans again. So just something to point out. It doesn't change the narrative, but I know we've been talking about it a lot here. I just wanted, as we got some clarity out of the Fed, if you want to call it clarity, I just want.
I'm not seeing much clarity out of this Fed at all.
No, I did want to hit on that because I do think it does matter.
Yeah, agreed.
It does matter, and the bottom line to that is banks then have higher non-performing loans and have to hold more money aside, and that's less money for the market.
Just needed to raise money, right?
That's right. Yep. So, overall, I mean, let's look at some of the positives. U.S. trade balance was a superb number, 60.2 billion. That was a 16% decrease. And this is what it's all about. This is the whole strategy: reduce your deficits. India left rates unchanged. Tariffs so far have raised $127 billion. And Kashkari is now jumping in. So that's 3 members, with another one to be, put forward by the Trump administration. So that could be 4 members now that are out there into the cut side. So this is, this is the underneath. This is the tectonic plates underneath that are beginning to shift in favor of, this recovery, or in my terms, the dollar recovery. And the most important ingredient is the dollar is a 4.5% currency.
Oil just dropped $2 a barrel here.
Another stimulus to the economy. I mean, oil, I don't know. If right now the market seems baked in with stagflation or recession, and the dollar is going lower. Right?
That's the third time I've heard the word stagflation.
Yeah.
We seem to, I'm sorry, guys, if you don't know, for those of you out there, streaming already seems to be a little bit of a delay, so between the 3 of us. But this is the third time I've heard the word stagflation today, Steve. Myself, yourself, and one other person on TV has been mentioning stagflation. And that's the worst case of anything we could possibly have. It's where inflation goes up, as well as job losses are coming in and the markets are going bad. So this could be the hint. I mean, I'm hearing it all from a lot of different sides. Is it really stagflation?
Steve, I think it's a temporary, a blip here, but that's the term everybody wants to put on it. And here's the dilemma. We know when things go big up on inflation, the Fed raises rates. We know when inflation drops, the Fed lower rates. What is the Fed's playbook for stagflation?
Usually wishy-washiness, which never
they don't
works.
Have one. They don't know what to do, right?
Last time it was the Wagner days, right? I mean, that was the last time we saw stagflation, and they didn't do very good. If I remember from my history classes, because I was a young boy in those days, but I remember that those were not strong days on an economic recovery.
Right. What we need to get back to is a Fed that is looking at the data today and beginning to support the economic recovery of today. And they need to look broad-based, and that means they need to look out across America. That's their job. Their job is not to say, well, the textbooks say tariffs equal inflation. Do you see that? No, you don't. Even Kashkari's saying, that needs to be re-examined. So, we don't need a theoretical Fed that really is, using your term, wishy-washy. We don't need that. That's not part of what we want. We want somebody to help support growth, because growth means we all work, we all get an income, unemployment is good, and it supports. Right now, they've got to look at the housing market. It's such a huge part of our economy.
It's abysmal right now, the housing market. Yeah.
Yep. When I drive down roads here, and now I'm in Florida, and I see, high 3% in rates that they're offering, I know things must be tough.
Right. I mean, we have the highest number of available homes now, and they're still building homes down here. So they expect another run of people moving down here. I understand that.
But I wanted to bring it home to currencies right here. Bank of England tomorrow.
Yeah.
England is, got a lot of budgetary problems right now. So, we're presently around the 133.15. There's a technical, this is really looking good from a technical model. You want to be long sterling here, okay? It's a high interest rate currency, expected to go to 4%, but I'm a bear. I am looking for a market to trade lower. Monday's high was 133.31, and today's high was 133.32. Don't want to fail here, because if we fail here, that's going to be pushing me to my support point. Last week's close, 132.72. I have a historical support line that goes way back at 132.75. So I'm looking, if the Bank of England does a surprise move of maybe 0.5% to get ahead of the curve, watch sterling on the downside. Again, I think 132.75, add a little discretion. So 132.60, if we break that level, I think you have a significant downside move in the sterling. And that's the one I'm following right now. I personally am small on the short side and looking to add. When do I cut it? I have a very tight stop loss here of around the 133.35.40 level. So I risk, 15, 20 points. And if I get my breaks, I'll add to it on the downside and begin to go with that trade.
And what about this new tariff situation with India? What about the rupee?
Yeah, Steve, they left rates unchanged last night. So they are sitting at 5.5% because of the uncertainty. I would have maybe expected a cut on India's part, but they're very slow to act in the marketplace. The tariff situation with India, not a good thing for the India economy, which is just kind of coming off of life support. This is not what they want. I think the aggressiveness that Trump is taking is basically saying, so India is a very slow moving decision maker. And I think what Trump's trying to say is, hey, now, I need it now. India's holding back. They're actually playing pretty rough in their chatter. They import about 40% of their oil from Russia, and that's up from like 2% back in a normal situation. So, clearly India is out of step with certainly the European view on Ukraine, Russia, and India is kind of out of step with the United States. And I thought that the U.S. and India were moving closer together with Modi and Trump, seemingly buddy type thing. So this is not a good move for India. I don't want to touch the rupee. If anything, I'd be short India right now.
Okay.
Let's
I would say that's what I see is, like you said, is that where the problem is that they're picking their side and they're not picking us right now, and it's showing in that WTI number that you just brought up, Steve. It's showing in the fact that Russia is going to release more money to Western nations. This is Putin's, saying, hey, listen, it's time for me to start selling some oil again, and he's willing, and India seems to be more than willing to take it.
Yeah, and they're getting a deep discount.
I'm not arguing. Right. I don't. They're saying, but we do see them starting to partner. I would say that it shows a little bit more strength to that BRICS idea that we've sort of all been naysayers on, because I really didn't think that India would ever agree with Russia and China to the point that they have right now.
Yeah, and that's a classical right there. They're in up to the neck in the bricks, and
Yeah,
while I'm not poo-pooing the idea of the brick nations, the facts are the data is they're nowhere in the world of transactional currency. Still,
right.
the dollar is the overall majority in the dollar transactions in the world. So while it may have a good idea as an alternative, the alternative has to have a lender of last resort. Now,
Right.
unless they come out with an idea to back some sort of brick currency with a commodity basket, which with all those member nations is going to take a long time to come forth
Well, and that's
to
what we all talked
fruition.
about. That's why I bring it up. But we also felt, at least I think that I know you and I, Mr. Flanagan, had talked about that India was going to be the problem in that BRICS, in that they were the most standoffish towards the other nations, and were really leaning more at that time towards repartnering with the new administration and sort of getting back closer to the U.S. And it seems that, like you said, that friendship has sort of cooled off and moving the other way. Just my outlook and my view on.
Yep. And with a very large middle class in India,
Yeah,
and Modi having lost quite a bit of political support in the last election,
Yeah.
it's about the short term, and the short term is if the economy weakens, he's going to come under enormous political pressure.
yeah.
Right.
No, I don't
And
doubt
the
that at
people of
all.
India don't care where the oil comes from.
That's right.
Right. They just want cheaper ones. You know what is, I don't want to say this the wrong way, but I don't think U.S. citizens do either. All I hear is people complain
Yeah.
about gas prices. If you said
That's
you
all I
could
complain
lower
about,
it
gas
by 50
prices.
cents a gallon, they say get it wherever the hell you want. So I don't think that's an Indian, is subject to just India. I think that's every nation
Agreed.
looking to do that. And again, where is that surplus of cheap Chinese goods going to go that aren't going to come to the U.S.? What middle class would like to have those goods the same way we do? India's middle class.
They want those TVs.
Yeah.
So I do think that's different. Gentlemen, I do have to step away here at 10:15, so I'm going to leave it to you guys to bring it home. Mr.
Same
Flanagan,
thing here. I got to run too, but
well, Mr. Flanagan, what do you have going on here for the rest of the week?
Well, I'm going to watch this dollar level, the Dixie at 98.40 right now. I have a nice point, 98.69. And I think that's how I'm going to look at it. I think the dollar is going to bottom in here today, and I'm looking for a slight upward draft as we move through the rest of the week. Otherwise, there's not a lot of news. It's going to be all earnings. And as you guys have been highlighting on the earnings front, a couple of big beats. And I think Apple news is going to be very positive. And that could set the tone from an equity point of view. I do think that we're going to see kind of a risk on, and I think that's going to be dollar up from here.
Awesome. I'd have to ask, I've sort of put a zone on my DXY chart, if you look here, in between about 98.33, let's say, and 98.90. That to me right now is sort of neutral. Where if you're in this zone, you're just chopping away, sort of like I look at Bitcoin in different times when it's range trading. Is that a fairly decent picture of it right now?
Exactly. Yes, it is. And that's why, I'm looking for a slight updraft. I'm not looking for any sharpness here because this is a trading zone. When you begin to see a lot of churning and trading, it means you're going to have a lot of sellers and a lot of buyers on those levels. But once you break, one side wins. I keep my analogy very simple. When you break out of a chop zone like that, one side wins, the other side has to play catch up.
Yeah, and gives up, so to speak.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm with
That's
you.
right.
So that's what I am looking at. Personally, on the DXY, I've got alerts set to kind of give me that news there because I don't need to be first into the trade. I can follow it, and there's plenty of money to be made on that moves, like you said, because they're pretty significant out of these,
Right.
these consolidation levels. When volatility does break, it usually does so in a pretty big way. So, any other nations we got to worry about this week?
No, I think England's the one up front. That's the one we're going to watch between now and then Friday when I get back on. Watch for the correlations to begin to reestablish themselves. Okay. Right now, correlations are up in the air. There may be a couple out there, but normally it's, dollar down, Bitcoin up. I'm a little concerned right now. I actually think you're going to see dollar up, Bitcoin up, equities up. And I think the correlation trade is going to be risk on. And I think all these asset plays are going to suddenly start moving together.
Okay. I would say I am interested this afternoon or in a couple of hours. We're going to see what happens with the 10-year notes. They're a pretty big auction today. So I do think that will start to give us a little bit of a view of what's happening in the bond market, which could help us see if that's the case. Because that's been the one that I haven't seen move up with everything else. I'm with you. I don't like when everything moves all in one way. So what I'm hoping is bonds come down and then the stocks and risk-ons the other way. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us here at Quasar Markets Live. Mr. Flanagan, thank you like always. BigBeat, it's been a hell of a day so far, sir. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Keep those heads up and keep those stop losses in place.